Hello, everyone. So, this is another maturing moment, which is entitled It Is Not Up to You. And I wanted to talk to you all about that as it pertains to parenting. As I'm reading Luke chapter 2, and what actually came to mind, I wanted to share what God brought forth revelation on. And I can just tell you, chapter 2 really was a bit lengthy. And sometimes when a scripture is very lengthy for me, sometimes I tend to not press. And God just told me to continuously press because there is revelation, insight, and wisdom in pressing and reading the story throughout. So I want to encourage you all to press forward, even though a chapter may be a little lengthy, right? So, chapter 2 is basically talking about Jesus' birth and his parents and different angels and things that was in the mix of Jesus' story. But what really stood out to me was verse 42 through 49. And it talks about Jesus and how God was using him. And I want you to think about this as it pertains to you being a parent and as it pertains to your children. And I can think about that with my mom. There's a plan and a purpose that God has for us as individuals because we are also children to someone and we also have children. And the plan and promises didn't come from us, it came from God. And in this story, it tells us that, Mary was given an opportunity while she was a virgin. She was given this opportunity and she gave birth to Jesus, the Son of God, right? And I can assure you this was not her plan, and it definitely wasn't her husband's plan. And he had unbelief in this area, and she had some type of unbelief as well, but she took hold to what the angel told her as well as her husband. And I want to tell you this, that was God's plan and purpose, was for her to give birth to the Son of God, right? So when we look at these scriptures 42 through 49, we see that Jesus, at the age of 12, when him and his mother and his father, they went back into town, that Jesus kind of lingered, and the parents at first didn't know he was gone. But then when they realized he was gone, after they left town, they went back to look for him, like, where is he? And they found that he was in the mix of the crowd with the leaders, and the leaders was actually giving him wisdom. He was learning, but he was also asking questions because he was among these great leaders, and God was training him at that moment. And if you read further down, it was in verse 49. Well, I'm going to say 48. When his parents saw him, they were amazed, and his mother said to him, "Son, why have you done this to us? Look, your father and I have sought you anxiously." And Jesus' response was, "Why did you seek me? Did you not know that I must be about my father's business?" Because his mom and his father was like, you're my child. So I'm going to look for you and I'm going to be worried, right? But we have to know that as parents, that our duty is to train up our child and to prepare them for the plan and the promises that God has on their life. It is not for us, like Jesus' parents, they had it in mind. He's supposed to stay with us and do what we tell him to do. Like, we're looking for you. You're supposed to be amongst us. But that's why he tell them in verse 49, my interpretation is, I know from which I came from, and I know that there's a great and mighty plan on my life. So I have to be about God's business. And I want you to understand that as parents, it's kind of hard for you to let go. I get it. I'm a parent myself. And my mom is, a parent of me. But we have to get in our mind that we cannot live through our children. If you wanted to be let's just say if you wanted to be a lawyer and you did not go to school or you couldn't finish school for whatever reason, you can't live through your child and tell your child, well, I want you to be a lawyer, or if you wanted to be good at sports or cheerleading or what have you, and you're trying to push that off on your children. No, your job as a parent is to identify and recognize what God has placed on the inside of them so that you can push them into God's plan and promises. Understand that God given us the ability to be child bearers, just like Mary. That was a blessing, that was a miracle for her to have the Son of God, but it ain't for her to hold on to it. Just like, the resurrection and stuff. It's not for you to hold on to, it's for you to allow God to do what He's going to do. Let God be God and take your hands off of it. And I know that I'm not just speaking to you all, I'm speaking to myself as well. Our job as parents is to see what path in which, in the gifts that God has birthed in them. So I'm encouraging you as parents to be able to let go when God is telling you to let go, and to push your child in the direction in which He shows you their gift is in. It's not for you to relive through them. Until next time, with purpose.